Hey everybody, what's going on? We got a special guest today, so hope you sit back and let's have some fun. Let's go.
Wake up, everybody. I just wanna start a new day. Remember what I say.
What's up? What's up? What's up, people? It's Monday. It's 8 o'clock. Extended City Tonight, Season 2, Episode 11. Can you believe it? Episode 11, Season 2. It's crazy. How y'all doing? I hope you had a great weekend. I hope you had a great week. We're going to have some fun today. My first guest of the season. And I'm sure you guys are going to enjoy that. A couple of things before we get to that. How y'all doing? Y'all doing good? I hope you guys are doing all right. It's been an interesting weekend. It's been a packed powerhouse weekend in sports this past week. Touch up on a couple of things. Actually, today's been an important day. First of all, it looks like Chris Paul staying with the Suns for another 4 years. He got 4 years, $120 million. I should have played basketball. Well, I think I'm too short. Not that, just because I'm Puerto Rican, but I'm just too short. Just like a 5'8", I wouldn't have made it. It's only very few people my height have ever made it in ball. But yeah, Chris is staying with the Suns for $120 million. 4-year deal they gave him. 4 years for $120 million. And today we find out that my man from the Raptors, Kyle Lowry's going to the Miami Heat for $90 million, 5 years. Where's my son? He's got to play basketball. He's got to do one of these things. The money is ridiculous nowadays. $90 million for 5 years. And then also Kawhi Leonard, he's opted out of his contract with the Clippers. So he becomes a free agent now. Who knows what he's going to get. We're talking millions of dollars. We're talking these guys just, hey, you know what? People pay. If they're making that much money, imagine how much the owners are making, and it is what it is, but it's a great thing. It's definitely a great thing. Speaking of great things, let's talk about my Knicks for a second. All right, because we had a draft. We had this little interesting, kind of interesting draft, but 3 names I want you guys to watch out for. 3 names, okay? Quentin Grimes, Miles McBride, and Luca Vildoza. They're all guards. Vildoza's already been on there. He's been on the D League for a bit. But the new kids that they picked up in the draft, Quentin Grimes and Miles McBride. McBride is supposed to be like the steal of the draft, and we'll see how that works out. Today they decided they're going to bring back Alec Burks and they're going to bring back Nerlens Noel, which I'm happy with. They need to sign Rose again. They need to sign Rose. They need him as backup. It's imperative. It's absolutely imperative. And today, I don't know how people feel about this. The Knicks are thinking about bringing back Carmelo Anthony. Yes, that's what they said. It's on ESPN. They're thinking about bringing my man Melo back for, I guess, his swan song so he can retire. I'm here for that. I would like to see him come back and do well, as long as he doesn't think he's like the man. Like, that's not happening. As long as he knows his role, I think it would be nice for him to come back and end his career in New York. I think a lot of people would like to see him back. We'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. And on the other front, the other sports front, the hat I'm representing right now, my Yankees, they went out there and they got 2 powerhouse guys, Anthony Rizzo and Joey Gallo. Rizzo's playing first, Gallo's playing the outfield. The Yankees are really trying to push ahead with this wild card situation. They haven't been doing too good this year. They're, I think, like 3 games back in the wild card, and they're going for it. So let's see what happens, But again, I'm glad you guys, everybody who comes today to hang out with us. Should be an interesting show. I think it's my first guest that I've had this season, I believe. And I call her the everywhere girl because you don't even realize it, but she's like everywhere. You see her on the subway, you'll see her on bus stops, and she's on billboards all over the place. And you probably have seen it. I'm sure you've seen it. And I just wanted to make sure that I get a chance to bring her on my show before she blow up like they say. and it's too big to come down with the common folks. She's also an actress. She's also a singer. She's also a songwriter. I mean, it's disgusting all these things that this girl does. It's amazing, and I had the privilege of meeting her several years ago. We both happened to work at the same place, and you just never know where people's potential is and the trajectory they're going to go. And before I bring her on, well, actually, no, I'm going to bring her on first, and then I'm going to show you a little bit of what she does, and it should be pretty cool. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce to you Elira Roe. Hey, how you doing, Miss Rodriguez?
Hi, I'm well. How are you? You're much too kind.
No, I'm
Much
not. Come
too
on.
kind.
I've seen it. I've seen all the work. I've seen the billboards, and I had the privilege to say that I know where you were when we first met, and I know where you are now. And it's just, you're doing great things, and I'm sure you're going to continue to do that. But I do want to, embarrass you for about 3 minutes. I want to show some people what I'm talking about, because sometimes you just got to see, it to really understand. So we're going to take 3 minutes and we're going to check out some of your work, and we'll be back.
Okay.
The music is mine. Great look. Where was that taken?
Like originality is blank.
Originality is something that everybody's born with. Be yourself. No one is you except you. Following your
Wait a minute, let me finish. I know you don't care. Can you listen? I came committed. Guess I overdid it. What my night out on a dream.
I'm so happy you cut off the guest one. I was like, I actually did that while we were working together.
Really?
Yeah, that one was around that time. That was funny. I mean, that was really authentically me. They asked me, they're like, there's a part in there where I like turn around and I was like, why am I so awkward when I'm talking to people?
I know I struggled because I was going to keep that part in, but I was like, I can't make the video too long. It's going to take up too much time.
You can, I mean, that'll sum up this entire interview. Why am I so awkward when I'm talking to people?
Hey, you know what? It's quite often the people that are very talented um, are talented like on a large scale, and then when it becomes very intimate, sometimes you're like, "Ugh," you get a little bit cringy, but you're used to being in front of multiple people. But I mean, where are you from originally? Are you from New York? Or I know some of the answers to that, but my people don't.
Well, I mean, I guess it's kind of a complicated but not complicated answer. I was born and raised in Orlando, Florida. But I grew up in Dominican Republic the first 5 years of my life. So I moved there like immediately after I was born. And then when I was 5, my family moved to New York and we were here until I was 9. And then I moved back to New York when I turned 18, right after I graduated high school, and I've been here since. So I've been in New York the longest out of all the
Right.
places. So I would say I'm a New Yorker at this point, but
Oh, definitely,
also Florida.
definitely. What were you like as a kid? Were you shy? Were you, very outgoing? Were you a bad, were you bad? Were you promiscuous?
No, actually, my mom always laughs and tells people that she's really grateful that she had my sister first and me second because my sister was a mess. But my sister's like the child that I wish that I will have because I love mischievous kids. Like I know when you're parenting them, it's a little bit different, but
Right,
I think
right.
they're so cute. Like my sister was such a handful, and I was pretty independent and to myself and really well behaved. My mom says I was like the all American child. Um, but yeah, I think I was probably a lot more outgoing then than I am now. It's not that I'm not outgoing. I think that, like, for example, I worked at the Polo Bar for the past like 7 years up
Right.
until the pandemic happened. And um, I was one of the maitre d's. So part of it is kind of like putting on a show and making people feel comfortable. And I'm really good at doing that in those moments. But other than
Right.
that, like I'm pretty reserved into myself.
Well, yeah,
Um, so
when
I
the
can
lights,
be
like it's the
extroverted.
performance aspect.
I can be extroverted, but I can also be really, really shy into myself. So
So when do you think that what was it that kind of geared you toward what you're doing now? When did you start to feel that? Was it at a young age? Or you like ones, with mom's clothes on in the mirrors, stuff like that? Or
Um, there used to be, I mean, I don't know if my mom ever got this actually on video.
Mhm.
My parents were not like the videotape and take
Right, right.
pictures of their children sort of parents.
That could be a good
Um,
thing sometimes.
but I did have a photo, and I don't know where it went, of me like with my mic in my like
Mhm.
underwear, and like I apparently I would tell my mom that I was gonna be a star. So
There you go. That's where it
so I
starts.
guess
That is
I've
where it
kind of always
begins.
known that I mean, I definitely, so I grew up with my grandparents in Dominican Republic, and I'm sure I saw my parents in between that time, but it was primarily with them. So they were
Okay.
my mom and dad
Right.
up until I was 5. And the first time I remember meeting my mom, I was reenacting the death scene of Snow White. And so my mom always likes to tell this story because she came in, she's just like, "What's wrong with her?" And my grandma's like, "Don't worry. She'll be back alive in 5 minutes. She's just reenacting the death scene."
Oh, so
So
you were definitely ready you were ready to be a child actor back then, doing Snow White. That's pretty cool. Like I had a story. My brother-in-law tells me that I used to sing Billy Paul, Me and Mrs. Jones songs when I was 3 years old in the living room. So it's like everybody
no.
has those stories to tell. Um, what would you say though was your first love? Was it music? Was it, the modeling? Was it acting? Like what led you into the arts? I got
I
you.
don't know. I would say both music and acting. When I was younger, well, my sister kind of did her own thing. She wasn't much older than me, but she didn't hang out with me much.
Right.
So I kind of would create characters by myself, and I'd like to, if I saw a movie, I'd like to transform myself into the characters that I would see. Um, but I also really, really liked singing, and I always would sing to myself. So I don't know. I would say they were both my first love, both of them.
That's
But
good.
I pursued I mean, to be completely frank, I don't know if I ever really pursued either one of them that like strongly.
Right, right.
But I would say that singing was the thing that I always would mainly showcase, and it's because it was something that I could hear and know that I was like doing at
Right.
least relatively well, whereas acting was a little bit harder to know whether I was doing like a good job. So
Well, that's why, when we first met, that's what I knew you for singing and writing. And then I, saw the other aspects. Um, when when did it start officially for you, though, as far as really getting into the modeling and seeing that as an opportunity? Because you have so many different looks. I looking through your work. You have classic looks. You have a little more urban. You have that all American kind of thing. What was the beginning for you officially?
um right place, right time, to be honest. So when I left the job where we met,
Mhm.
I went to the Polo Bar, and in one of the nights that I was maitre ding, so at Polo we had to like talk over these mics and communicate to each other. There's an upstairs and a downstairs. Um, I had no idea who I was talking to at the time, but she was asking if her table was ready. So I radioed downstairs, and they're like, "Oh, is that Ralph Lauren on the other end?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he told me that you couldn't sit with us. And I like it was just like joking, and it was just like a response. Like I was just like bantering with them.
Hmm.
And she asked me if I could act, and I said no, but I sing. And she said, "Would you want to act?" And I said, "Well, I can make myself cry," which is true. I can make myself cry pretty much on demand. And I mean, you know, Latina, just kidding. Don't wanna,
No
enforce those
stereotyping.
stereotypes. I'm just kidding. um, but I actually can make myself cry pretty much on demand. And when I said that to her, she was just like, "Well, here's my information. I would like you to self tape for me." And it turns out that she was a really, really major manager who I ended up working with for a couple of years. And I mean, I really owe it to her because she opened so many doors for me, but it was for acting. So I literally like people moved to New York and like audition nonstop to be able to find opportunities like this. And I really like I just told her she couldn't sit with us. And then she had me self tape, and then she signed me. Um, and through being signed for acting, then I started going to acting school because I felt like if I was going to pursue it, I should honor the craft. I shouldn't just be like, "Oh, look, like I got
Yeah.
signed. People think
Right.
I'm
Right.
cute." Like, no,
Well, you do. Yeah, I get it.
I wanted to do it properly. So I attended a school for it, but in between that time, because of acting, those two worlds kind of cross over, and then I started crossing over into the modeling world, which I've had a lot more success in than acting. Acting is like really, really difficult to break into.
No, I understand. I understand definitely. Who, when you let's say even whether it's acting or music, who were your inspirations? Like, who did you look to and say, "Wow"? Not that you necessarily wanted to be them, but that their career really inspired you to kind of follow through on the arts. Just
Um,
let's break it down. Let's say music, acting, and then modeling. Let's do those three. And if you give me an example for each of those, that's your test.
um, modeling, absolutely nobody. Sorry, that
Okay.
sounds terrible, but
No,
I
hey,
hardly even consider myself a model, to be honest. I audition, and then whatever I book, I book. um,
mhm.
but with acting, oof. I mean, who would I say? And I know I should have had this prepared. With acting, I don't know. I mean, I think that it's so lame and typical of me to say Meryl Streep, but honestly, I think that she's
She's an amazing. She's
such a fantastic actress. And up there is Viola Davis too. Like those two to me are such big powerhouses in the way that they just transform themselves. I mean, you can see them in so many different films and not even recognize them.
right.
Um, and so I would say that those two are definitely two powerhouses that I look up to. And in terms of music, I have a very like old timey kind of voice. So I would say for sure Billie Holiday. I listen to Billie all the time. And funny enough, the other Billie. Billie Eilish, listen,
That's definitely, well, it's funny. It's not
obsessed
really.
with her.
It's they were both very, I don't know if the word is eclectic in their approach, and very unique. So I can see, well, I love all different kinds of music, so it doesn't really matter. You don't have to just like one style of music. But I happen to like Billie Eilish myself. My daughter loves Billie Eilish, but I think she's very relatable in what she's saying, and how she presents it. And Billie Holiday, that's just, if anybody, like, if you hear you sing just a little clip that I have and things that I've heard you, sing before, I know automatically that that would be someone that has some type of influences on what you do. But I mentioned before that you have a lot of different looks, right? Um, you're Latina, you
See,
know. What have been the biggest challenges? Has that helped you? The fact that you can be so chameleon like, or has it hindered you, or is it somewhere in between?
I'm gonna be honest, I'm pretty oblivious to the world around me. So I don't know whether it has hindered me or not. I do, to be honest, I think especially in the last several years, if anything, it has helped me. Um, and as we know, and I think as we now know on a bigger scale, being Latino Hispanic is not like a race. And so even though I speak Spanish, I I kind of fall into it really like I really blend quite a bit, like depending on how I wear my makeup, how I wear my hair. I can go from being like Italian to being Hispanic or being half black, half white. Like I'm always the roles I tend to audition for are like ambiguous roles.
Right,
And in the last several years, that's kind of been a big thing, like a big market that's taken
right.
off. So I guess I would say that if anything, I've benefited more from the fact that I have that like
Mhm.
ability to be a chameleon. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not sure if I would say that I've been hindered by it by any means.
Okay. I mean, it's always something that I ask. I ask that, to the musicians that come on, to different people that come on in different aspects of life. It's a question. It's a real question.
Yeah.
How would you want to be? Go, 10 years down the line. Let's not go 10 years. 5 years down the line. No, let's go 10. 10 is
We can
good.
go 10 years.
10 years. What do you want to be known for? What do you want to people to say, man? Have you seen the latest? Elira Rodriguez project is crazy. What do you want to be known for?
Um, well, let me very quickly turn on a lamp because the golden hour has gone away and it's gotten quite dark in my room. Um, Honestly, my goal since I was a child was to start a nonprofit. So, in terms of projects and acting and music, those are all things that I'm passionate about and I enjoy doing. But I I would be very happy if I can make my money that way, and that way I can create a platform to kind of subsidize that
Right,
nonprofit because I find that I mean, whatever I do, I want to be able to put my money into it because I don't want to be somebody's puppet. I don't want to, like, because I want donations or need something for the nonprofit, that now I end up going back on things that I would want.
right.
Um,
Which
and
happens.
so, yeah, so for me, acting and modeling and singing, all of that has always been because I wanted to be able to gain a platform to advocate for a nonprofit. And in 5 to 10 years, I really hope that I would have created it by then. Like it's definitely the next steps that I'm trying to take. Um,
What
but
is exactly what is the subject of the nonprofit, if you don't mind the
yeah,
answer?
not at all. So I really want to start a nonprofit that is targeted towards homelessness. So I know it's a really huge umbrella, but I think that there's a huge misconception on how people become homeless, why they stay homeless, um, and I just don't feel like there's enough out there to really help. I do think that in like there are obviously centers and things like that, but a lot of people who are homeless get their things stolen there. There's a lot of sexual assault or abuse that happens in those places. And it's
Yeah.
not to say it's all of them. And to be honest, like for a very long time, I wanted to start this nonprofit, but I would really be happy to partner with anybody if they've already established something similar to the structure of
Mhm.
what I want to do and
Right.
kind of just add to it. Um, but as I've gotten older, it's morphed so much because at first I wanted it to be something where like I can sort of house people and have some sort of system where they could either get a traditional education or a vocational skill, and then we can help place them into careers outside, or they can come back and work for the program. And then, as I started to learn more about my mental health, I wanted to also have like a mental health aspect of it, of being able to offer those things. And since quarantine, the shutdown, I've just been learning a bunch of stuff. So I
Well, I mean,
started,
all of us have been learning a bunch of stuff, and
yeah. So I
it's been
started
very
doing a lot of classes in alternative therapies. So I learned how to do Reiki. I became yoga certified in
I've
Vinyasa and
seen that
working in
lately.
yoga.
Yeah. Hmm.
Um, I and so I want to kind of also have a wellness center attached to it because I definitely think that it's really important to also address the mental health aspects of it. But very long story short, I want to create a nonprofit, and that's what I want to be the big project that I'm known for in 5 to 10 years.
Well, that's great. It definitely, that's probably the first time, and that's not probably, that's the first time that I've heard that from you. I didn't know that that was an aspect of it was. 'Cause a lot of people want to get a platform just for the sake of having a platform, or just for the sake of being known. But I also believe strongly that if you do have a platform, there should be some type of purpose behind it. There should be something that you're giving, for whatever recognition or gratification or whatever it is that you're receiving from what you do. Being able to speak to something that's true to you is very important. I think that is extremely important, and that's great. I hope it doesn't take you 10 years. Yeah.
I know, same. Funny enough, one of the things, so my mom always tells me when we first moved to New York, she would always get really afraid because I would just run around giving hugs to the people on the street.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was that kid just hugging random strangers. And then it was actually when I was in kindergarten that I started thinking about this idea because my teacher asked what we wanted to do when we grew up, and I drew a house, and I said that I wanted to be able to get like everyone off the street and put them like in a house. And so everything that I've done has always been fueled by that vision, and that's always been the main thing that I want to do. Um, and I've personally felt like it's not to say that I haven't worked hard,
Right.
because I definitely, when I do things, I show up fully and I definitely invest myself fully into the things that I do. However, I recognize that I've had a lot of things handed to me and I've had a lot of opportunities that have landed me where I am. And I think it's really irresponsible on my part personally if I were to not extend that to other people, because not everyone has had those opportunities. And if they were given the things that I was given, then they would likely be in this same position. Like I do recognize that I don't want to downplay that I don't work hard,
Right.
but also, I mean, I think it's fair to say that there have been a lot of things that I've just been really, really fortunate. So yeah, I just think it would be really irresponsible of me not to give back.
That's a view that I would hope that more people have. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't have that, and I think that when you say things given to you, I think sometimes we knock ourselves when we get opportunities, but you remember that you always sometimes you put yourself in that position to receive that opportunity. So it's not necessarily that people are seeking you out and just giving you stuff. I mean, you're doing something to put you at that point where you're able to be there to receive what it is that you're getting. So, that's and like they say, when you love something that you're doing, it doesn't necessarily feel that hard.
Right.
And then, the sacrifice is is worth it. What would you say has been your most fun project to date?
Most fun project to date. Ooh. Hmm. Good question. I don't know. Okay, well, this wasn't a project, but can I say
You can say whatever you want.
the funnest
And
thing I've ever
the funnest
experienced
thing,
as
yes.
okay. So I would say when I was 18 and I moved to New York, working in City Year, the AmeriCorps program. So have you ever heard of City Year?
Um, I don't think I have, but if it's something like a program that I was in when I was young, which was City Volunteer Corps, where we went and did projects and worked with senior citizens and did things like that, is it something to that nature?
Kind of. So it's a nonprofit, and you go into underprivileged neighborhoods and help out with the schools there. So
Okay.
you like teams go into specific schools and you stay there. So I was there for a year in East New York, and I got to work with the students there, and it was really lovely. I mean, it was sad to see the conditions,
Mhm.
and it helped push my buttons even more towards the nonprofit that I want to create.
Right.
Um, but it was really, really beautiful to work with all of the different neighborhoods. And we would go in and we would also like, why am I only thinking of the word beautify? I don't even think that's a real word. But
It's
we
a
would go
word.
into
It's a
the
word. Today
neighborhood
it's a word.
kind of just like revamp them
Hmm.
and clean them up. And I was specifically in charge in the school to create events for the students and just creating those relationships. Like I'm still in touch with a lot of the kids that I worked with, which is wild because they're in college now, and I'm like, wait a second, you guys are older than I was when I was working with you. So they're just like adults, and it's weird. And but it was a
That's
really
cool.
beautiful experience, and I have to say probably the most rewarding job that I've had so far.
I can definitely relate to that because I only did that for a year. I was about from 17 to 18 when I was a troubled youth. But we did beautifying of parks, and we worked in schools. We worked in junior high schools, and we got so close to some of the kids that we worked with. And then I remember when we got there, because we're not, because we were teenagers and they're like young, just 8, 9, 10, 12, and we did not like each other. It was a lot of conflict. But by the time we left, we loved those kids so much. And just seeing those relationships and the people that I was with in that organization, this is 30 years ago now for me. I'm old. We're still friends. We're still friends to this day. So I can definitely relate to that. It's hard to explain sometimes to other people how much it meant to you because they didn't go through it. So you kind of have, you know what I mean? And they're like, oh, yeah, I guess I understand, but I definitely can relate to that. I
Yeah,
definitely
I get
can.
emotional when I think about it. I'm like trying not to cry. I'm such a crybaby. But seriously, it was such a like beautiful year. Yeah, by far
Wow, I
like the
see you
best.
are okay. Don't
Yeah, I'm
you're,
really
you're
trying
you're the
not
first
to.
person that
I'm trying not
you're,
to.
we're making first here.
I'm such a crybaby. Okay.
Oh man, this has got to be one of my clips. When I do the clips for the show, when I do the clips, I'm definitely, you know.
Oh no! Don't put me crying.
So what's happening now for you? Is there anything that you're doing, or if not now, are there any projects that are upcoming? I know you're doing, you're in a short film right now. Um,
Um,
if that
yeah, I did a short film a while ago that's
right,
now
okay.
starting to circulate, and I did do one during COVID as well. So probably one of those two, and they're both kind of like doing their rounds and like circuits.
What are they called?
Um, right now, so I just started learning so many different things while we were locked down. So I like
Right.
got a diploma in alternative therapies. I decided to go back to school because I dropped out of college 1 year before I was supposed to graduate. So I'm finishing my degree in biophysiological psychology, and I'm
Fantastic.
trying to figure out how I'm going to integrate all of that into the nonprofit, which kind of makes sense, especially with the wellness stuff that I'm doing right now.
Absolutely.
But I think I'm gonna move more in that direction. I'm still signed. I have my agents and I audition still. So I don't know. I just auditioned for something with Miller Lite and it doesn't look like I booked it, which is unfortunate. Miller Lite,
Little
I'm
Light, you're
calling you
making a
out.
big
You should have
mistake.
booked me.
You're making a big mistake, man. Like, I don't know what's
How
going
dare
on.
you?
It's great to. I mean, it's great to hear. I mean, it's. I sit and I talk with people who, like myself. I did music for a lot of years, and but what really drives people, and it's usually not just what they do or what they may be known for at the moment. There's usually something a lot deeper, within that. And you say, you're going back to when you were a child and they asked you that and you drew a house. That's really a calling. That's not just something that, what I'm going to do. I guess I'll do this. That's something that's really a calling. Um, what would you say though, who or what has been your biggest support system when you felt like, I'm done with whatever it is. Who's that person? Is there a person that kind of lifts you up and kind of keeps you going, or is that just you?
I have to say I have a really great family support system. I'm so close with both sides of my family. My grandparents on my mom's side literally live up the block, and I up until COVID, like I would spend pretty much every day with them. My mom lives down the street, and listen, that's the homie. I see her all the time. Today was the first day that I didn't like see her in like a
Wow.
couple of weeks. I see her like pretty much every day. But I'm really fortunate. I would say if I had to choose one person, I'd say my mom. My mom is like, that is my soul. But then, I also have my cousin Jai, who is my baby, but definitely not a baby anymore. And I also have a really great partner, and he's been, especially in the last 2 years, has been such a great support system. So I'm really fortunate. I have a really
That's
good
great. Sean, it's
system
funny.
going.
You talked about your cousin, and we all have our Instagrams, and we kind of see the developments. And I'm thinking of him, and I've seen pictures when he was like really
Wait, he
young.
was a baby.
And I'm like,
Like,
oh,
he's
shit.
so grown now. Like, we go out together from time to time. He's still only like 19.
Right.
But like, if he goes to buy alcohol and stuff, I mean, I probably shouldn't say this. I'm gonna get him in trouble. But like, they don't ID him, but they ID me. I mean, listen, you can keep IDing me as
Hey,
long as
that's
you
all
need
right.
to.
In 10 years, if they're still doing that, that's gonna be just fine.
So.
You ID me, fantastic.
Listen,
You
I'm
know,
21 forever. Or 19. I'll take 19.
19. Nah, 20. You gotta be 21 because then you gotta, at least be able to do the stuff the legal stuff. 21 is good.
I don't
19
even
is good.
drink, so honestly, they could have that.
Oh man, it's been great talking with you. What So you talked about are there any upcoming projects other than anything else that might be coming up or
Um, well, I mean, I just audition as it comes, so I don't
right.
really have anything set in stone yet.
Mhm.
And then in terms of like where I see my career pivoting, so I think that my focus is going to be more on wellness. So I became certified in yoga, and I kind of want to use that as my platform to start pushing the nonprofit. So I'm still working out the kinks and coming up with my business plan. There are some things coming up ahead, but I don't want to talk too soon.
I got it. You gotta
But
keep
it's
those
definitely
things
going to be
close.
more in that like realm of things.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. You don't talk about too many plans, just kind of keep them close to the heart and help them to
Yeah.
get to fruition. That is fantastic. Elira, I appreciate you coming on. I'm so happy that I had a chance to speak. I've always wanted you to work on one of my tracks, and one day I'm going to get you to work on one of my tracks. We're going to work together.
I
Musically.
want you to know that you just have to stay on top of me. It is not you. It is 1,000,000% me. I'm so bad. Like, I've been telling myself this whole time when we got shut down, I was like, perfect. Time to make music. Have I made one song? Absolutely not. So
It's
let's
all
make
right.
it
It
happen.
happens.
Let's make it happen, and I'll be better. I swear.
Oh man, thank you for coming on. I appreciate you. We'll stay in contact.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's a joy to talk to someone who's so talented, but also is so much a person of substance, because sometimes that isn't always the balance there.
Thank
But
you.
and equal parts. So continued success. God bless, and I will talk soon.
Talk soon. Thank you so much for having me.
Take care, babe. Bye. And that was Elira Roe, very talented, and the whole aspect of the program that she wants to create. It's just something that, like I said, a lot of people have talent, and a lot of people want to get a platform, and it's fantastic to get a platform, but you know, to be able to use that platform to speak to something that is important to you, that is true to you, it's I think that is the purpose. I think that is the calling, that people who really understand their gift, and the way to use their gift to affect positivity in the world. I think that's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And I will be following her, and I'll make sure that I'll let you guys know what's going on with her as well. And guys, that's my show this week. We keeping it short and sweet. I usually go for about an hour or so, but you know what? We're gonna keep it short and sweet this week. And I just hope that you guys have a great week. Remember to embrace your failures, because they prepare you for the success to come. Check out, be on the lookout. My Knick fans out there, we got to be strong. We got to support our guys, because this is going to be our not. Okay, let me stop. It's not going to be our year. We're not winning the chip, but we're going to try and get out of the first round this year. We're going to try and get out of the first round, because that's what we need to do. But otherwise, stay good. I love you guys. I'll see you next week.
Wake up, everybody.